My name is Daniel. I'm 32 years old. I work as a freelance videographer in Barcelona. This story happened 3 years ago, and I have never told it in this much detail before. I met a woman named Laura. She was 28. She worked in an old bookstore. She was quiet, precise in her words, and liked isolated places. After 6 months together, she suggested we spend a weekend in an old mountain house owned by her family in a remote area near the Pyrenees. The house was far from any village. The road leading to it was narrow and unpaved for the last 2 kilometers. There was no phone signal, no neighbors, no outdoor lighting. We arrived around 5 p.m. The weather was cold. The house was made of wood and stone. The door was heavy. As soon as we entered, I noticed a strong damp smell. I asked her when it was last used. She said, many years ago. We started setting things up. We lit the fireplace. Laura brought many candles and placed them in every room. She said the electricity sometimes cuts out. I didn't notice many light switches. At 8 p.m., we sat in the living room. We ate a simple meal. Laura kept looking toward the hallway leading to the bedrooms. I asked if something was wrong. She said no. At 9:15 p.m., the first strange event happened. We heard footsteps above us, on the upper floor. Slow and heavy. They stopped, then started again. I asked if someone else was in the house. She said, no one. Her voice was low. I went upstairs. There were 2 rooms. I opened both. Nothing. No movement. No people. The floor was covered in dust. No recent footprints. I went back down and told her. She wasn't surprised. She said, you might hear things here. She didn't explain further. At 10 p.m., the temperature dropped more. The fireplace was still burning, but the cold feeling remained. The candles started going out one by one, even though there was no wind. I tried relighting them. They went out again within seconds. Laura became silent. She held my hand tightly. Her hand was very cold. At 10:40 p.m., we heard knocking on the front door. 3 times, evenly spaced. I went outside to check. No one. No footprints. I came back in. Laura was crying. She said, I should have told you before we came. I asked her to explain. She said the house belonged to her grandfather. Strange incidents had happened there. People heard voices. Some developed psychological issues. Her family stopped using the house. I got angry. I asked why she didn't tell me. She said she didn't expect anything to happen that night. At 11 p.m., we decided to leave. I went outside to start the car. It didn't start. I tried several times. The battery had been fine before we arrived. Now there was no response. I went back inside. Laura was standing in the hallway, staring at a room at the end. The door had been closed when we arrived. Now it was open. We had not entered that room before. I approached. The light was dim. Inside, there was an old bed and a wardrobe. Nothing unusual, but the floor had deep scratches, as if something heavy had been dragged across it many times. When we entered, the door slammed shut behind us. I tried to open it. It wouldn't move. We heard breathing nearby, not ours. Another presence. Slow and clear. Laura started screaming. I tried to calm her. The breathing got closer, then suddenly stopped. The mirror in the room began to shake. A slight vibration, then it shattered without any visible cause. We got out after the door suddenly opened on its own. We ran to the living room. All the candles went out at the same time. The house was completely dark. At 11:25 p.m., we started hearing multiple sounds. Footsteps in every direction, knocking on the walls, objects falling upstairs. Laura collapsed. She sat on the floor and started repeating unclear words. Not in Spanish. I tried to lift her. She felt unusually heavy. Her expression changed. She was no longer focused on me. She said, in a different voice, why did you come here? That was not her voice. I stepped back. I tried to open the front door. It was tightly locked. The key didn't work. At 11:40 p.m., something started moving in the hallway. A long shadow appeared on the wall with no visible source. It moved slowly toward the living room. I hid behind the table. Laura stood up and walked toward the hallway. Her steps were uneven. I called her. No response. She disappeared into the hallway. Seconds later, she screamed. A loud scream. I ran toward her. I found her on the floor. Her face was pale. Her eyes were wide open in an unnatural way. I tried to wake her. No response. I carried her outside with force. The door opened suddenly without using the key. The air outside was freezing. I put her in the car. I tried to start it again. It started immediately. I drove down the mountain. The road was difficult. I reached the nearest hospital after an hour. Laura remained in shock. She didn't speak for 2 weeks. Then she started talking, but in fragments. She said she saw people inside the house. Faces without features, standing in the corners. After a month, she was admitted to a psychiatric facility. Diagnosis: severe disorder with continuous hallucinations. I never went back to that place. I tried to forget what happened. But sometimes, at night, I hear the same footsteps. Later, I researched the house's history. I found old reports of people disappearing in that area and unexplained events in the same house. The house is now completely abandoned. No one goes near it. The last time I spoke to Laura, she didn't recognize me. She looked at me like I was a stranger. That was the night that started normally and ended in a tragedy that changed our lives completely.